Admiral Zektar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking at the small blue planet on his screen. His long, scaled fingers tapped against the metal rail as he studied the data from his scouts. Earth looked so simple, so weak. The readings showed primitive technology and basic space travel. Nothing that could threaten the mighty Galactic Empire. "Sir, the planet shows only crude chemical rockets," reported his second officer, Commander Velinix. "Their most advanced ships barely reach their own moon. They have no real weapons in space." Zektar's yellow eyes gleamed with satisfaction. This would be another easy conquest for the Empire. In his long career, he had taken over hundreds of worlds. Most surrendered without a fight once they saw the size of his fleet. Those who fought back were crushed quickly. "How many of these humans live on the planet?" he asked. "About 8 billion, sir. They live in separate groups called countries. They still fight wars among themselves with basic weapons." Zektar laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. "Perfect. A divided species is always easier to control. They will welcome us as their new rulers once we show them our power." Far below on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison walked through the underground halls of the Nevada test facility. The base was hidden deep in the desert, far from any city or town. Only a few people in the world knew what really happened here. Jake had been working at this secret base for 3 years, leading the most important project in human history. "Jake, you need to see this," called Lisa Grant from across the laboratory. She was the best engineer he had ever worked with. Her blonde hair was tied back as she bent over a complex machine that hummed with strange energy. Jake walked over to where Lisa stood. Before them was the Liberty's Edge, a ship unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was sleek and silver, about the size of a small building. But its real power was not in its size. The ship used technology that no other species in the galaxy had ever thought to try. "The quantum drive is working perfectly," Lisa said, her voice filled with excitement. "We can bend space and time in ways that should be impossible. The aliens won't see us coming." Carl Rodriguez, their weapons expert, joined them at the ship. His dark eyes were serious as he checked the weapon systems. "The kinetic projectiles are ready too. They'll punch through any shield the aliens have." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. 3 months ago, Earth's deep space sensors had detected the alien fleet moving toward their system. The government had kept it secret from the public to avoid panic. Only a few hundred people knew that Earth was about to be invaded. "How long until they arrive?" Jake asked. 2 days, maybe 3, replied Dr. Amy Peterson, the project's lead scientist. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her mind was sharper than anyone Jake had ever met. "Their ships are fast, but they're taking their time. They think we're no threat." Amy had discovered something amazing in her research. The aliens all used the same basic technology. They had been traveling through space for thousands of years, but they had stopped trying new ideas. They built bigger ships and stronger weapons, but they never thought of completely different ways to solve problems. Humans were different. When they faced a problem, they looked for new solutions. They tried things that seemed crazy or impossible. Sometimes these ideas failed, but sometimes they worked better than anyone expected. "Tom, how are the shields coming along?" Jake asked. Tom Bradley looked up from his computer. He was young, barely 25, but he had ideas that amazed even the older scientists. "The magnetic field system is ready. Instead of using energy shields like the aliens, we're using the planet's magnetic field itself. Their weapons won't be able to get through." Jake smiled. The aliens expected humans to fight like every other species they had conquered. They expected big fleets and traditional weapons. Instead, they would face something completely new. "What about the stealth system?" Jake asked Dr. Peterson. Perfect, she replied. The quantum signature masking will make us invisible to their sensors. They'll think we're just floating metal junk. Jake walked around the Liberty's edge, running his hand along its smooth surface. The ship looked simple from the outside, but inside it contained the most advanced technology humans had ever built. Every system was designed to do things differently than the aliens expected. "Sir," called Nicole Stevens from the communication station, "we're getting reports from the moon base. The alien fleet just entered our solar system." Jake felt his heart beat faster. The moment they had been preparing for was finally here. He looked at his team: Lisa, Carl, Amy, Tom, and Nicole. They were just ordinary people, but they were about to face the most powerful military force in the galaxy. "Remember," he told them, "the aliens think we're primitive. They think we're weak. That's going to be their biggest mistake." Above them, Admiral Zektar was ordering his fleet into position around Earth. He had 500 warships, each one capable of destroying a city. His plan was simple: show the humans his power, demand their surrender, and add another planet to the Empire. What he didn't know was that hidden in the desert below, humanity's first starship was preparing to launch. The Liberty's edge was small compared to his massive fleet, but it carried something the Empire had never faced before. Human ingenuity. The war was about to begin, and neither side knew how it would end. The morning sun rose over Washington, D.C., as President Katharine Wells sat in the Oval Office, staring at the red phone that would change everything. In a few minutes, she would make the most important speech in human history. The alien fleet had sent their message 3 hours ago, and now it was time for Earth to respond. "Madam President, they're waiting for your answer," said General Patricia Moore, standing beside the president's desk. The general's face was calm, but her eyes showed the stress of the moment. Catherine picked up the phone and spoke clearly into the camera. "To the representatives of the Galactic Empire, I am Catherine Wells, President of the United States and speaking for all of Earth. We have heard your demands for surrender. Our answer is simple. No, Earth belongs to humanity, and we will defend our home." 500 miles above Earth, Commander Volinix listened to the human response with surprise. In all his years of conquest, few species had refused the Empire's first offer. Most begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. These humans seemed different. "Admiral," he reported to Zektar, "the humans have refused to surrender. They claim they will fight us." Zektar laughed loudly. "Fight us? With what? Their metal tubes that barely fly? Show them what real power looks like. Destroy 3 of their military satellites. That should change their minds quickly." Back on Earth, Jake Morrison was running through the final checks on the Liberty's edge. His crew was ready. Sarah Jackson sat in the pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls. Ryan Cooper manned the weapons station, his eyes focused on the targeting screens. Nicole Stevens monitored all communications from the alien fleet. "Jake, we're getting the launch order," Nicole called out. "The president wants us airborne now." "Sarah, take us up," Jake ordered, nice and quiet. The Liberty's edge lifted off from the hidden base without making a sound. Its quantum drive bent space around the ship, making it invisible to the alien sensors above. To the Empire's fleet, the ship looked like a small piece of space junk floating harmlessly through the solar system. "Admiral," Zektar watched as 3 of his destroyers moved toward Earth's moon. The human military satellites orbited there, easy targets for his powerful weapons. This demonstration would show the humans how hopeless their situation was. "Fire," he commanded. Bright beams of energy shot from the alien ships toward the satellites. The Empire's weapons could destroy entire cities with a single shot. But when the energy beams hit their targets, something impossible happened. The beams bounced off harmlessly, scattered in all directions by invisible shields. "What?" Zektar roared. "How is that possible?" On Earth, Tom Bradley smiled as he watched the readings from his magnetic shield system. The alien weapons were powerful, but they were still just energy beams. His shields used the planet's own magnetic field to deflect them, sending the deadly energy safely into space. "Their weapons can't touch us," Tom reported to General Moore. "The magnetic field system is working perfectly." High above, the Liberties. Edge moved silently through the alien fleet. The ship's quantum drive let it appear in multiple places at once, confusing the Empire's sensors. Jake studied the alien ships carefully, looking for weaknesses. "Ryan, do you see that big ship in the center?" Jake asked his weapons officer. "The flagship?" "Yes, sir. It's huge." "That's where their admiral is. But we're not going after him yet. We need to take out their smaller ships first, make them panic." Dr. Amy Peterson had taught Jake about alien psychology. Most species in the galaxy were used to fighting in organized formations. They followed rules and traditions that had worked for thousands of years. But humans had learned to fight differently. They used surprise, confusion, and fear as weapons. "Target the ship on the left edge of their formation," Jake ordered. "The one that looks like it's alone." Ryan locked onto the target. The Liberty's Edge's main weapon was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of energy beams, it fired solid metal projectiles through tiny holes in space-time. The projectiles appeared instantly at their target, with no warning and hung. No way to stop them. "Firing," Ryan said quietly. The Imperial cruiser Dominion's Fist exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against the solid projectile that appeared inside the hull. 3,000 alien soldiers died in an instant. Panic spread through the Imperial fleet. Their sensors showed no attack, no enemy weapons firing. One of their strongest ships had simply exploded for no reason they could understand. "Report!" Admiral Zektar screamed at his officers. "Sir, we can't find the source of the attack, Commander." Vilinix replied, his voice shaking. "Our sensors show nothing. No energy signatures, no missile launches, nothing." "That's impossible. Ships don't just explode." But even as he spoke, another Imperial ship burst into flames. Then another. The Liberty's Edge moved through their formation like a ghost, striking without warning and disappearing before they could respond. On Earth, people watched the news in amazement. The alien fleet that had seemed so powerful was being destroyed by an invisible force. President Wells had told them that Earth had defenses, but no one had imagined anything like this. "My fellow Americans," the president said in a broadcast to the nation, "what you are seeing is the result of years of secret preparation. We knew this day might come, and we were ready. Our brave soldiers are fighting in space right now to protect our world." Jake watched as the alien fleet began to break formation. Ships scattered in all directions, trying to escape the invisible attacker. But the Liberty's Edge was faster than any of them. Its quantum drive let it appear anywhere instantly. "Jake, I'm reading massive energy buildup on the flagship," Nicole reported. "I think they're trying to retreat." "Not yet," Jake said grimly. "We need to send a message they'll never forget. Sarah, take us closer to that big ship." Sarah piloted the Liberty's Edge through the chaos of the alien fleet. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as more Imperial ships were destroyed. The proud fleet that had come to conquer Earth was being torn apart by an enemy they couldn't see or understand. Admiral Zektar stood on his bridge, watching his fleet die around him. In 30 years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. The humans had technology that shouldn't exist, weapons that broke every rule of space warfare. "Sir, we've lost 40 ships," reported an officer. "The fleet is requesting permission to withdraw. For the first time in his career, Admiral Zektar felt fear. These humans were not the primitive species his scouts had reported. They were something far more dangerous, something completely unknown. Admiral Zektar's massive flagship shook as another explosion lit up the darkness nearby. The Imperial cruiser Star Crusher had just been destroyed, its pieces floating like metal snow through space. The Admiral's yellow eyes darted across the battle screens, trying to understand what was happening to his fleet. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. 63, sir," replied Commander Valinix, his voice barely a whisper. "The attacks are getting faster. Whatever is hunting us seems to be learning our patterns." On the Liberty's edge, Jake Morrison studied the alien fleet's movements with cold precision. The ship hung invisible in the middle of their formation, its quantum drive making it appear as nothing more than empty space to their sensors. Jake had been a fighter pilot before joining the secret project, and he understood how fear could destroy an enemy's ability to think clearly. "They're starting to bunch up," observed Ryan Cooper from the weapons station. "Look at how they're pulling their ships closer together." Jake nodded. It was exactly what he had expected. The aliens were following their military training, seeking safety in numbers. But this made them easier targets, not harder ones. "Ben, how are our systems holding up?" Jake asked Lieutenant Commander Ben Phillips, their engineering officer. Ben's fingers flew over his control panel. "All systems green, Captain. The quantum drive is stable, weapons are fully charged, and our stealth field is holding perfectly." Doctor Amy Peterson had been right about alien psychology. After thousands of years of space warfare, the Empire's forces had become predictable. They followed the same tactics, used the same formations, and made the same mistakes. But humans had spent their entire history fighting each other, learning new ways to kill and survive. "Sarah, take us around to their left flank," Jake ordered. "Ryan, I want you to target 3 ships at once. Let's see how they handle multiple simultaneous attacks." Sarah Jackson's hands moved smoothly over the pilot controls. The Liberty's edge slipped through space like a shark through water, completely undetected by the alien sensors. Her years of flying experimental aircraft had prepared her for this moment. "In position, Captain," she reported. "Fire when ready," Jake said. Ryan pressed 3 buttons at once. The Liberty's Edge's weapons system launched metal projectiles through tiny holes in space-time. The projectiles appeared instantly inside 3 different alien ships, tearing through their hulls like paper. All 3 ships exploded within seconds of each other. The effect on the Imperial fleet was immediate and devastating. Ships began firing wildly in all directions, their crews panicking as they tried to find an enemy that didn't exist on their screens. Several alien vessels accidentally shot each other, adding to the chaos. "They're destroying themselves," Nicole Stevens observed from the communications station. "I'm intercepting their radio traffic. They don't know what's happening on Earth." General Patricia Moore watched the battle from her command center deep underground. She had been preparing for this day for months, ever since the first alien scouts had been detected at the edge of the solar system. Now her careful planning was paying off. "General, the orbital defense platforms are ready," reported Colonel Kevin Murphy. "The aliens don't know about them yet." Patricia smiled grimly. The Empire had dismissed Earth's space-based installations as simple communication satellites. They had no idea that humanity had spent years disguising weapons platforms as harmless equipment. "Not yet, Kevin. Let Captain Morrison keep their attention for now. We'll spring our surprise when they try to escape." Back in space, Admiral Zeke Tar was discovering that his enemy was far more intelligent than he had imagined. The attacks weren't random. They were carefully planned to create maximum confusion and fear. First the outer ships, then the support vessels. Now the defensive formation itself was being torn apart. "Sir, We need to retreat, urged Commander Valinix. We can't fight an enemy we can't see. No, Zektar roared. The Empire does not retreat from primitive worlds. Order all ships to form a defensive sphere around the flagship. Whatever is attacking us must be small. We'll destroy it with concentrated fire. But Jake Morrison was already 3 steps ahead. He had studied the alien military codes that Dr. Peterson's team had broken months ago. He knew exactly what orders Zektar would give. They're forming a sphere around the flagship, Ryan reported, just like the tactical manual said they would. Perfect. Jake replied. That puts them exactly where we want them. Nicole, patch me through to Earth Command. You're connected, Captain. General Moore, this is Liberty's Edge. The aliens are bunched up and panicking. Time to show them what Earth's real defenses look like. On Earth, General Moore activated the orbital defense grid. What the aliens had thought were communication satellites suddenly revealed their true purpose. Massive energy weapons powered up, their targeting systems locking onto the Imperial fleet. Fire, Patricia commanded. Beams of pure energy shot up from Earth's surface and down from the hidden satellites. The aliens found themselves caught in a crossfire they had never seen coming. Their ships, designed to fight other spacecraft, were not prepared for an attack from a planet's surface. Impossible. Admiral Zektar screamed as his ship's shields began to fail. Planets don't have weapons that can reach space. But Earth did. Tom Bradley's magnetic field technology worked both ways. It could deflect incoming attacks, but it could also focus and direct Earth's own weapons with perfect accuracy. The alien ships that had seemed so powerful were being torn apart by a planet they had considered defenseless. Jake watched as the Imperial formation collapsed completely. Ships scattered in all directions, trying to escape the deadly crossfire. Some fled toward the outer planets. Others tried to hide behind Earth's moon. But the Liberty's Edge was faster than all of them. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildup. On the flagship, Ben reported. They're trying to jump to hyperspace. Not today, Jake said coldly. Sarah, get us close to that ship. Ryan, target their engines. The Liberty's Edge appeared directly behind Admiral Zektar's flagship, still invisible to their sensors. Ryan's targeting computer locked onto the ship's massive hyperspace engines. One well-placed shot would trap the aliens in Earth's solar system. Firing, Ryan announced. The metal projectile tore through the flagship's engine room, destroying the hyperspace drive in a shower of sparks and flames. Admiral Zektar felt his ship shudder as all power went out. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting red shadows across the bridge. Damage report, he shouted. Sir, hyperspace engines are completely destroyed, reported the chief engineer. We're trapped here. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Zektar realized he was going to lose. The humans had outfought him, outhawed him, and outmaneuvered him at every turn. His mighty fleet was being destroyed by a single enemy ship and the planets. Defense grid. Open a channel to the human ship, he ordered quietly. Sir, we can't detect the human ship, Commander Valinix replied. Our sensors show nothing. Jake Morrison smiled as he listened to the alien communications. Fear had a way of making enemies reasonable. But this battle was far from over. The Empire would send more ships, bigger fleets, deadlier weapons. This was just the beginning of a war that would span the galaxy. Nicole, can you open a channel to the alien flagship? He asked. Yes, sir. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Admiral Zektar, Jake said, his voice carrying across the void of space. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the starship Liberty's Edge. You came here to conquer Earth. Instead, you found out what happens when you underestimate humanity. Surrender now, and we'll spare the lives of your remaining crews. The alien admiral stared at his screens in shock. The voice was coming from empty space, from a ship he couldn't see or detect. For the first time in his life, Zektar felt truly afraid. Admiral Zektar stood in the smoking ruins of his flagship's bridge, staring at the communication screen where the human's voice had come from. Around him, his officers worked frantically to restore power to their damaged systems. The proud fleet that had come to conquer Earth was now scattered and broken, hunted by an enemy they couldn't see or understand. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the outer system," reported Lieutenant Kestar, one of the few communication officers still at his post. "It's the reinforcement fleet. Admiral Mordock is requesting an update on the conquest." Zektar's scaled hands clenched into fists. How could he explain that a single human ship had destroyed half his fleet? That a primitive planet had weapons more advanced than anything the Empire possessed? His career was over, his reputation ruined. "Tell Admiral Mordock that we have encountered unexpected resistance," he said finally. "Request immediate support." But Jake Morrison was already moving to intercept the reinforcements. The Liberty's Edge had detected the new alien ships hours ago, long before the Empire's own sensors had spotted them. Dr. Amy Peterson's quantum detection system could see ships approaching from light years away. "Captain, I count 50 new alien vessels approaching from the outer system," Nicole Stevens reported. "They're much larger than the first fleet." "Looks like they're taking us seriously now," Jake replied. "Ben, how's our power holding up?" Lieutenant Commander Ben Phillips checked his engineering displays. "We're at 80% efficiency, sir." "The quantum drive is stable, but we've been pushing it pretty hard." Jake nodded. The Liberty's Edge was an amazing ship, but it was still a prototype. It had limits, and they were starting to reach them. But he had one more card to play. "Sarah, take us to the edge of the system. I want to greet our new visitors personally." On Earth, General Patricia Moore was coordinating the planet's defenses from her underground command center. The first battle had gone better than anyone had hoped, but she knew the real test was just beginning. The Empire wouldn't make the same mistakes twice. "General, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the approaching fleet," reported Colonel Kevin Murphy. "These ships are 3 times larger than the first group." "Then we'll have to be 3 times smarter," Patricia replied. "Activate the Deep Space Defense Grid. It's time to show them what humanity can really do." Hidden throughout the solar system, weapons platforms that had been disguised as asteroids and space junk suddenly came to life. Earth scientists had spent years placing them in strategic locations, powered by fusion reactors and armed with the same dimensional weapons as the Liberty's Edge. Admiral Mordock commanded the reinforcement fleet from his massive audit, battle cruiser Empire's Wrath. He was the Empire's best military commander, a veteran of 100 conquests. When he received Zektar's request for help, he had been shocked. No single planet had ever resisted the Empire for more than a few hours. "Admiral, we're detecting weapons fire in the inner system," reported his tactical officer. "It appears Admiral Zektar's fleet is under attack." "By what?" Mordock demanded. The intelligence reports showed no significant military capability. "Unknown, sir. We're not detecting any enemy vessels on our sensors." Mordock frowned. Something was very wrong here. He had conquered dozens of worlds with advanced technology, but he had never encountered a species that could hide entire fleets. "From Imperial sensors. Reduce speed and go to maximum alert," he ordered. "If there's something in this system that can threaten our ships, I want to know about it." But it was already too late. The Liberty's Edge appeared out of nowhere, right in the middle of his formation. To the Imperial sensors, it looked like a small asteroid that had somehow gotten past their defenses. But Jake Morrison knew exactly what he was doing. "Ryan, target their command ship," Jake ordered. "Let's see how their admiral handles a direct attack." The kinetic projectile tore through the Empire's Wrath's shields like they weren't there. The massive battlecruiser shuddered as the solid metal slug punched through its hull. But the ship was too large to be destroyed by a single shot. "Damage report," Admiral Mordak shouted. "Sir, we've lost main power to sections 5 through 12. His chief engineer reported. "The attack came from inside our formation. Whatever hit us appeared directly next to the ship." Mordak's experienced mind quickly grasped the situation. The humans had weapons that could strike without warning ships that were invisible to sensors, and tactics that broke every rule of space warfare. This wasn't a simple conquest anymore. It was a real war. "All ships, spread out and begin random evasive maneuvers," he commanded. "Don't maintain formation. Don't follow predictable patterns. Whatever is hunting us, we need to make ourselves harder targets." But Jake had anticipated this move too. The Liberty's Edge wasn't the only surprise Earth had prepared. As the alien ships spread out, they flew directly into the fields of hidden weapons platforms that General Moore had activated. "Now," Patricia commanded from her bunker, deep beneath Earth's surface. The disguised asteroids revealed their true nature. Powerful energy weapons opened fire from dozens of directions, catching the Imperial fleet in a crossfire they had never seen coming. Ships that had seemed safely spread out found themselves under attack from weapons platforms they didn't know existed. "It's a trap," Admiral Mordak realized. "The entire system is fortified. How is that possible?" On the Liberty's Edge, Jake watched as the alien reinforcements suffered the same fate as the First Fleet. The Empire's ships were powerful, but they were designed to fight other spacecraft in open space. They weren't prepared for a three-dimensional battlefield where enemies could attack from any direction. "Captain, I'm getting communications from the lunar base," Nicole reported. "They're asking if we want reinforcements." Jake smiled. The lunar base was Earth's newest secret, a fully operational shipyard hidden on the far side of the moon. While the Empire had been focused on the Liberty's Edge, human engineers had been working around the clock to build more ships. "Tell them to launch the Aurora Squadron," Jake ordered. "It's time to show the aliens what a real human fleet looks like." 6 more ships rose from the lunar surface, each one based on the Liberty's Edge design, but improved with lessons learned from the first battle. They were still small compared to the Imperial vessels, but they carried the same revolutionary technology and the same human determination to protect their world. Admiral Mordak watched in horror as his sensors finally detected the human ships. Not one vessel, but 7. And they were all equipped with the same impossible weapons that had been destroying his fleets. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the human vessels," his communication officer reported. "Put it on the main screen." Mordak ordered. Jake Morrison's face appeared on the alien flagship's view screen. His expression was calm but determined, the look of a man who had accepted a terrible responsibility. "Admiral Mordak," Jake said, somehow knowing the alien commander's name. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. You have exactly 1 chance to save the lives of your remaining crews. Withdraw from our system immediately, or we will destroy every ship you have." Mordak stared at the human face on his screen. In 30 years of conquest, no one had ever spoken to him like this. But as he looked at the tactical display showing his shattered fleet, he realized that this human was not making an empty threat. "You cannot defeat the entire Empire," Mordak said finally. "We have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. Even if you win here, we will return." Jake's expression didn't change. "Then you'll discover what happens when you make humanity angry. We don't just defend our world, Admiral. We protect our friends, our allies, and anyone who stands with us against tyranny. The Empire has ruled the galaxy through fear for too long. That ends now." The communication ended, leaving Admiral Mordak staring at a blank screen. For the first time in his long career, he understood what his enemies had felt when facing the Empire's overwhelming power. The humans had turned the tables completely, and now it was the Empire that faced extinction. The debris field around Earth told the story of the greatest military disaster in Imperial history. Broken pieces of alien warships drifted through space like metal snow, reflecting the light of the sun. Where once a proud fleet of over 600 vessels had threatened to conquer humanity, now only a handful of damaged ships remained. Admiral Mordak stood on the bridge of his crippled flagship, watching the human vessels move through the wreckage. To his amazement, the Earth ships were not hunting down survivors or finishing off the wounded. Instead, they were rescuing Imperial crews from damaged vessels, pulling alien soldiers from the void of space. "Sir, the humans are requesting permission to board our ship," reported his tactical officer. "They say they want to provide medical assistance." Mordak had never heard of such a thing. In the Empire, defeated enemies were either enslaved or executed. Mercy was considered a weakness, compassion a flaw. But these humans seemed to operate by completely different rules. "Grant permission," he said quietly. "It seems we have much to learn about these people." Jake Morrison stepped aboard the Imperial flagship wearing a simple spacesuit, accompanied by Dr. Lisa Grant and 2 medical technicians. The alien corridors were filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. But Jake walked calmly through the chaos. "Admiral Mordak," Jake said, extending his hand in the human gesture of greeting. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison. Your ship needs repairs, and your crew needs medical attention. We're here to help." The alien admiral stared at the outstretched hand. After everything that had happened, after the complete destruction of his fleet, this human was offering aid to his enemies. It was beyond his understanding. "Why?" Mordak asked. "We came here to conquer your world, to enslave your people." "Why do you help us?" Jake smiled sadly. "Because that's what humans do. We fight when we have to, but we also help when we can. Your crews are just following orders. They don't deserve to die in space because their leaders made bad decisions." On Earth, President Catherine Wells was preparing to address not just her own nation, but the entire world. The secret was out now. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The footage of the space battle had been broadcast globally, showing Earth's impossible victory over an alien invasion. "My fellow human beings," she began, looking directly into the camera. "Today marks the beginning of a new era for our species. We have learned that we are not alone in the universe, and that the galaxy is a dangerous place. But we have also learned something else, that human courage, human ingenuity, and human compassion can overcome any challenge." In the underground command center, General Patricia Moore was already planning for the future. The Empire would not give up easily. More fleets would come, larger armies, deadlier weapons. But humanity would be ready. "Kevin, I want production started on 50 new ships," she told Colonel Murphy. "We need to be able to defend not just Earth, but our entire solar system." "Yes, ma'am." "What about the alien technology we've captured?" Patricia smiled. "Study it. Learn from it, but don't copy it. Our strength comes from thinking differently, from finding solutions that no one else has considered. The moment we start fighting like the Empire, we become like the Empire." Dr. Amy Peterson was already deep in analysis of the captured alien systems. What she had discovered was both fascinating and disturbing. The Empire's technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also incredibly standardized. Every ship used the same basic designs, the same weapon systems, the same defensive measures. "They've become too comfortable," she explained to her research team. "After thousands of years of easy conquests, they stopped innovating. They just built bigger versions of the same old technology." Tom Bradley looked up from his work on the quantum drive systems. So what happens now? Do we just wait for them to come back? Amy shook her head. No, we take the fight to them. We find their other enemies, their rebels, their oppressed peoples. We show them that the Empire can be beaten. Aboard the Liberty's Edge, Jake Morrison was receiving reports from across the solar system. The cleanup would take weeks, but the message was clear. Earth was no longer a helpless target. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Imperial capital. Nicole Stevens reported. It's addressed to the human leadership. Put it through, Jake ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing an alien figure in elaborate robes. This was Emperor.